Whether you're a die-hard fan or just looking for a good laugh, this monthly series promises to deliver the unexpected with a dash of humor. Tune in as Gene and BT dissect the what the fuck moments that makes pro wrestling the exciting spectacles they are. It's time to let loose and embrace the madness with the WTF News Desk, where Gene and BT bring you the 10 strangest and most fun topics each month, leaving you entertained, amused, and eagerly awaiting the next episode.
All right. We're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is an STS Pod Club production. I'm BT, and that guy over there, let me just say, no truth to the rumor that he snuggled with Tommy Rich at the One and Done in Philly. No truth. He's from Alabama, home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Guys, that's coons. Raccoons. They're from Madison, Alabama, and tomorrow night they'll be going against the Pensacola Blue Wahoos at 6 p.m. Tickets are available right now, and no, I didn't make up either one of those names. He is the Prince of Podcasting, my new partner in crime, my best friend, well, most of the time. He is Gene Jackson, and together we are the two dudes with no attitudes of podcasting. How the hell are you, Gene?
I am doing good, especially after that amazing intro. It's good to be here on the WTF News Desk. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, how about that new logo you up there above your head there? Yeah. This is the WTF. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Real quick, I'm gonna go over some business. We always go over the top 3 episodes from last month. Number 932, 2025 predictions. Number 935, WTF March. And number 933, which is a total shit show. Go out of your way to listen to 5-minute time limit. Gene, I don't talk numbers a lot, but when we hit 1 million plays, now that's with everything. I do it the WWE way. So we went over 1 million the last 3 years, but this is the quickest we've done it. This includes all our videos on at Memphis Wrestling, all YouTube, everything right there. Most plays. We also had the most plays in 1 month on YouTube. Remember, like I said, most of our stuff, or a lot of our stuff, is at Memphis Wrestling. So let's talk just real quick. And Gene, I'm doing this for people that's been with us this whole time. The first Cool Kids Countdown, which is what this was called, Cool Kids Countdown, WTF, was in April of 2017. In May of 2018, we started the WTF News Desk. It was an idea. I wanted to do news, 10 news items. And my partner said, hey, let's do weird news items. And I was like, I didn't think we'd ever be able to do it every month with wrestling things. But this 7 years later, this is kind of our 7th anniversary. And this is episode. So we're doing a rebranding per se. We're not part of Cool Kids Countdown group. I'm not anymore. That was my choice. No one kicked me out. So Cool Kids Countdown will get a total different name, and this will not be part of Cool Kids Countdown. It'll be the WTF News Desk, and this is episode 85 and 943 overall. Remember, we're going to continue. I just want everybody to know we're going to continue the tradition of all the countdown shows that we do. Just with a new name. We do every year we do the Hall of Fame, Wrestle Observer Hall of Fame countdown. We do Wrestle Kingdom. We do WrestleMania. We do Breakout Stars. It'll all happen just with a new name. So, Gene, are you ready to count down?
Let's do it, man.
Craziest things that happened in pro wrestling in April.
I can't believe there was ever a time that you thought there wouldn't be 10 weird things to count down every single month in wrestling. It's just a matter of narrowing them down, not a matter
Oh
of
man, it's crazy when you I mean, I've started with May, I always start day one, I start putting stuff in, and I think I've got 7 already. And I'm just like, but some months you'll have 3, and then all of a sudden the last week of the month. We're gonna start where we start every countdown with. I say countdown. Yeah, I guess it is. Countdown with. We do crazy matches. And Gene, since this was Mania season, I thought we would go to Vegas for the 2 matches featuring Suzuki. Before I show videos of the Butterbean, because I want to talk about this as we're watching it, I'm going to put up this kid, Kayfabe Crimes. He promoted the first match that we're talking about. I want you to listen. He's a hell of a promoter for this blow-up doll. So let's listen to this real quick.
Next month, arguably the greatest wrestling match of all time will take place. Minoru Suzuki versus Yoshihiko. Guys, if you don't know Yoshihiko, it's been said, and I've seen this with my own eyes actually, Yoshihiko delivered 15 destroyers in a row to someone. Multiple time champion. Like, crazy stuff Yoshihiko has done against Minoru Suzuki, the current DDT Universal Champion. This is a match for the ages.
He did a fantastic job, didn't he?
He did. I'm psyched for it now. I was a little on the fence before I heard that, but now he's got me pretty fired up for this.
Tell me, does this bother you? Does the blow-up doll matches bother you at all?
They don't.
Because I know you're
me.
old school. I know you're old school, so
they don't bother me per se because it's wrestling is what it is now. But it's like we've done it. Like, why? I mean, once it's been done a couple times, like, what are we proving now to continue these blow-up doll matches? Is my thing. But
I think they just do it to poke at people and make people pissed. Like the Jim Cornettes of the world. But I find it hilarious. And someone said, and I don't know if this is true, that Suzuki said he had a hell of a match with the blow-up doll and a lot better than he had with their second match. Part of their crazy matches in Vegas was Butterbean. And there's Butterbean right there. We got a few clips from this. They said he looks like him. I
can see that. His dad, maybe.
But everyone says one of the worst matches ever. Butterbean, went to DDP and now can walk a little bit. But can you have you ever worked a Butterbean? Anyone that bad, Gene?
Close. So someone sent me this match. I'm not all that far from Butterbean over in Jasper. And,
okay, yeah.
So I've talked to him about some potential bookings in the past. Those are long stories, but a buddy of mine sent me this match, and I was prepared for it to be bad, but I wasn't prepared for it to be this. Of course, my first thought was, my God, a year or so ago, Butterbean couldn't stand upright. And I know DDP's a miracle worker, but I didn't think he was going to be able to get him in shape to have a match. And turns out he's not.
Yeah, we got him in shape to have a match. No, we didn't. I want you to watch this part right here. Please, if you're not watching with us, go to YouTube, go a couple places. We're on Facebook. We'll put it up on Rumble afterwards. There's a part right here where Suzuki, you can tell he's just really pissed. He'll give the big thumbs down to the match. So he can't do nothing with this guy. Absolutely nothing. And you got to give it to Suzuki. He didn't look like he got rough with him or anything, did it? I mean, really, he didn't shoot on him.
No. He was respectful. He did what he could, and it was just, I think he saw pretty early on.
Watch
this
this.
was a lost cause.
I'm so upset.
Look at Butterbean's face.
Yeah, pretty bad. That was our 2 crazy matches. We'll have them every month at number 10. Shout out again to @KayfabeCrimes. He's on YouTube. a good promoter of that.
There's such a thing as so bad it's good, but that didn't quite make it. It was just so bad. It was just
It was
embarrassing. It was hurt. But
All right, number 9. Now, number 9 every month is going to be, it's going to be coming from the Observer, and it's going to be WTF Meltzer. So, in other words, what the fuck are you talking about, Dave? Come on, let me know what you're talking about. The first thing that I brought out, and I didn't put the dates of these observers, but I sent you the comments real quick. First thing is he said, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair opened WrestleMania Night 2 with one of the best matches in WrestleMania history. What the fuck is he talking about?
I mean, if you gave that the one of the best women's matches in WrestleMania history, maybe, some people could make that argument perhaps, but that's not a high bar in my opinion. But it's Dave. There's one thing about it that's going to be very different about this version of the WTF News Desk. Me and Dave Meltzer's opinions are on far different spectrums than people in the past who, worship the guy and think he walks on water. So, if you're one of those people that really, really, really love Dave and his opinions, you're probably not going to love a lot of mine. But, it was a good match as far as I'm not a big women's match guy. I'm sorry. Call me sexist, whatever you want to say.
I'm not either. No, yeah.
I went into it with super, super low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised. Best matches, one of the best matches in WrestleMania history. Take it easy, Dave.
I agree. Then we were talking about Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. They went off the script. Or did they go off the script? He talks about the entire promo was scripted, or it wasn't scripted. What the fuck? Was it scripted or wasn't it scripted? And he said the part where Flair just abruptly stopped and said she gave up was not scripted. It wasn't part of it. So, Gene, my question to you, was it scripted?
I mean, if I'm basing it on reading what Meltzer wrote, I don't know. I almost had an aneurysm because it kept contradicting itself because, it was scripted, but they went off the script, but it wasn't scripted, but it was scripted, but they went off the script. Which is it? What was it scripted? Was it not scripted? It had to be scripted to go off the script. But then at one point he says that was the script where it appeared to go off the script. I don't know, dude. Either way, I do not care about any of this. It was just, the only thing more uninteresting than this promo was the freaking match they had at WrestleMania. Dear God.
Oh, that was horrible. Yeah. I thought it was a big day. And I follow WWE a lot more. I like these two ladies, but geez, it's like everybody believes everything they read, and it's just crazy. All right, the last thing, WTF, Dave Meltzer. He's talking about WrestleMania. So let's me and you think about something. This would be the largest grossing, money-wise, biggest 2 days ever of WWE.
Right.
And he said, while disappointing, are among the worst ever is ridiculous. It's also clearly nowhere near the last 2 years. I don't understand the logic of having two of the biggest or the two biggest events in WWE history and calling it a disappointment. I mean, when it comes to WrestleMania, we've had some shitty ones, right? You could probably name a couple.
God. Oh my God, we've had more than our share of them, for being honest. This will go back, and this is something we'll touch on later in the list, where Dave Meltzer and the guys who worship him and follow him, they look at the business differently. They look at everything from a work rate perspective, and how the matches came off and all that. Where we look at it from a perspective of if it's the biggest ones ever, how can you be disappointed with that? Yeah, I mean, people bought tickets. People came to see this. Were the results what you want them to be? Well, maybe not, but there's always next time. The Super Bowl is not always the results everybody wants it to be, but it's the game, and people watch it. yeah, all this talk of how disappointing and it was the worst ever. Like worst ever. Like come on, WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 11. Like it's not even in the top 10 worst WrestleManias ever, in my opinion. It's just a matter of oh, this ain't what I wanted to happen, so this is the worst shit ever. And
Right.
I don't
I
know,
mean, I
man.
agree 100% with that. And my perspective of what Dave and I went back and I started reading some of the very first issues, and my perspective has changed, especially in the last 4 years, because I see so much stuff that's especially with AEW, and we could spend a whole episode on that,
Yeah.
but it really isn't, and it's helped me being part of Memphis Wrestling, watching these matches. It's about the build of the match. It's about the finish of the match. That's what it's about. And if you don't understand that part, and that's pretty much it when it comes to wrestling. I remember talking about best matches ever at WrestleMania, and all I could think of was like Rock, Hogan, Andre. I mean, really, I was thinking of those big matches, but what I'm thinking of, is money and how many people drew, and it's not work rate. Work rate, it really doesn't matter if you can get over. And we talked about that. Me and Steve Crawford did on an upcoming episode. And it really don't matter. So I got to play this.
5-star matches and shove them up your ass. It means dick. Take your 5-star matches and shove them up your ass. It means dick.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to flip over and talk about, okay, well, how did you feel about it? Like, yeah, I was looking forward to Cena and Cody Rhodes, and yes, the match itself was disappointing. The finish was unfulfilling. Does it make it one of the worst WrestleManias ever? No, it just means I didn't dig what they did out there. But
I'm the only person in pro wrestling that, and we'll talk about that match, I think, like that match. I was like, hey, I ain't got no problem. One last, Dave, I've subscribed for years for Dave. I think he's still the guy to go to read kayfabe sheets or dirt sheets before I would spend money with anyone else. But Mickey James during WrestleMania, there was a video out there, and I really have no idea what this was about. But for her to get the crowd into it, she came out and said, fuck Meltzer, and the whole GCW, which is kind of ECW, right?
Yeah.
Crowd was chanting, fuck Meltzer, fuck Meltzer. I thought it was hilarious. I really did. I retweeted it and got a big kick out of it. So,
yeah, I don't know really what the context was either, but yeah, that's hilarious. And Meltzer has a place. Like he's a guy who writes about wrestling, and if you want to read it, and if you agree with it, great. But people who treat like everything he says is the gospel, and you either agree with him or you're wrong. I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either. I've been part of the cult of Meltzer for a long time. I was, but I always had my own favorites. So, all right, we're up to number 8. Number 8, and I did not see many clips of this, but since you are a comedian and you do comedy, what's your Tony? I can't think of his name. Yes.
Tony Hinchcliffe, yes.
First of all, what you think about him?
Tony Hinchcliffe, the host of Kill Tony, what they call the biggest live podcast in the world, where they do a live show every month. Well, not live, sort of live. It's kind of like this, where it streams, but then they go back and put it back up later, whatever the case may be.
But you can attend. They just recently did Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. So
started in the basement of the Comedy Store in Hollywood. And moved during the pandemic, they moved out to Austin, Texas, and they're in Joe Rogan's club. And now they're selling out 2 nights in a row at Madison Square Garden, all these different arenas all over the world. And
on Netflix, you can watch it on Netflix also.
On Netflix. But anyway, the gist of it is Tony Hinchcliffe and 2 to 3 other big time comedians or actors or famous people sit on a panel and they draw names out of a hat, and open micers come up and do a minute of comedy. And they critique it. And that's the gist of the show. And people love it. But Tony Hinchcliffe is also known as one of the most ruthless roasters. He really got to be into the public eye with that Tom Brady roast on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Him and Nikki Glazer, I think, were the two MVPs of that one. And then, of course, he famously did the speech
Puerto
at the Trump
Rican
rally,
yeah.
Which really, it almost got him canceled. But then it turns out being canceled is not really a thing anymore, so it didn't. When I first read that they're going to let Tony Hinchcliffe do a roast of WrestleMania, I was under the impression that it was going to air like on Peacock or stream somewhere. And I was like, I don't know that they're ready for that. Like, I don't know, man. And then I found out they weren't going to air it. And then I found out that they actively, sought out to pretty much wipe it from existence. And they've done a pretty good job of it. If you go looking for it now, you can, you dig deep enough, people have bits of it. But I've only seen a couple of clips. And,
what did you see? What? Tell me, because I could never find anything.
So one of the comedians who's one of Tony Hinchcliffe's regulars on Kill Tony, whose name escapes me now, a large black guy.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he put a couple of clips up where he was roasting a couple of guys. I think he roasted Paul Heyman and Nia Jax. He went in on her pretty good. Just a couple people. It was about and I think Fluffy Iglesias, Gabriel Iglesias or whatever his name is. Right. He went in on him, and apparently he got pretty hot about some of the things that got said at the roast. I read after.
Oh damn!
But he was one of the only people who put it out on his social media, and it got around pretty good before they started pulling everything down. And of course, I heard Heyman on a couple things saying, some of the stuff he said to Braun Strowman that he was on WrestleMania because he sucked, and some stuff like that. But yeah, man, I don't know that WWE and roast culture really, lends itself to each other.
I think people in WWE is going to get their feelings hurt too quick. Yes. So that's what's going to happen.
Wrestling fans get their feelings hurt way too easy. So if they go in on their favorite, and especially if there's any ounce of personal, stuff behind it, then they're all going to go and cry and whine and have a bunch of damn drama, which is what basically happened. So
yeah, I loved it that they pulled it and everything. That was number 8. Let's go. Number 7 is, I said Twitter and Reddit, but I really wanted to put this over. I sent you the Reddit link. TJP, he goes off on Jeff Cobb, and the funniest thing in this was, to me, a couple funny things was him talking about they made him the leader. As if wrestling was a shoot.
Yeah.
And people were mad at him because he was the leader. Did you get that feeling that he thinks it's a shoot?
That's the way he was presented. Either he was ultra kayfabing this because he wanted to relay it that way, but I'm like you, the way it reads is he believes that himself. So,
and then he gets into the specifics about, which I love seeing about money and stuff. But then and it's all about Jeff. He goes after Jeff. That's really not someone I'd want to piss off, by the way. No. Especially TJP, as small as he is. But he says Jeff had guaranteed money, and he was making money, and they weren't making money. And I was like, as soon as I saw Jeff the other night, I was thinking to myself, TJP, you'll never probably ever work, WWE, as long as he's on the good side. Jeff Cobb is. But it's a big, I'll put it in the links. I don't want to read the whole thing because there's parts and parts of it, but the start of it, I'll put it in the description of the podcast. So if you want to go and look at TJP losing his mind over Jeff Cobb, I just thought it was kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And based on that, he had to be losing his mind when Jeff Cobb debuted at Backlash.
I know it. It's just weird. It's weird when you the jealousy that these guys. I understand want to keep your spot and all that kind of stuff, but he was the leader of the United Empire. That was the funny part.
I don't know who has ever spoke out publicly like that and it turned out good for him. It changed anything. It helped anything. You know what I mean? It never goes well. Just keep it yourself, TJP.
That's what I mean, that's all I could think of. Do you really want to work somewhere? There we go. I finally found that, y'all. All right, number 6, and after that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. But number 6, I titled it "Fuck Booker T." So they have this pay-per-view. This is what's wrong with. And Brian Thompson used to call me and say, "You want me to tell you what's wrong with the wrestling business?" Well, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with AEW. Pay-per-view, and after the pay-per-view goes off, Strickland gets the microphone and starts talking about Booker T, fuck Booker T, blah, 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 blah. Why did he do that? Why did he care about what Booker T said? And if he did care about what Booker T said, why was he saying it after the pay-per-view, after his match? I thought that was really stupid.
Yeah, there's a certain level of professionalism in WWE, or at least management has a tight enough grip on things where, like, you're never going to hear somebody through a WWE mic, especially in front of a crowd, whether they're off the air or not, cutting a promo on somebody in AEW. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to be gained for AEW or Shane Strickland from that. Okay, yeah, it got talked about, and Booker T responded. But how does that help anybody? It just put focus on now, instead of looking up AEW, looking up Swerve, I've got to go find how Booker T responds to this, And of course, it's going to be, tell me he did not just say that. I mean, that's the first thing. When I read "fuck Booker T" in my head, I went, tell me he did not just say that. But
and Booker T has the perfect thing to say. He said they're talking exactly what you're saying too. They're talking about me. They're talking about Booker T. You don't talk about me. Let me give you some advice. He said, you can say what you want to about Booker T being on NXT commentary. He is god awful sometimes. He's really funny sometimes. I like some of the stuff he says and does. But let me tell you, he's a big deal in the wrestling business. He has his own TV show. He's part of WWEID, and he is a big, big deal in the WWE. Let me tell you, everybody likes Booker T. And people that do business with Booker T, Dustin Starr, for one, I'll tell you, he is a great guy to do business with. So, Swerve Strickland's an idiot. So,
I mean, he's a veteran. He understands the business. And I love that, rather than knowing everybody's going to come to see what he has to say, rather than, taking the low road and going, oh, screw AEW and Swerve Strickland, and he uses it as a teachable moment for Swerve Strickland and wrestling, fans and wrestlers everywhere. And he explains why it was stupid and what was wrong with what he said, and did it in the most professional way possible. Like, I come out of this, whatever Swerve's intention was for us to hate Booker T or be mad at Booker T or make Booker T look bad, I come out of this with even more respect for Booker T than I had before. And I had a lot to start with. So I Swerve Strickland's talented in the ring, but the mentality of some of those AEW guys, they just constantly trip over their own dicks every chance they get, and it's
perfect example. Perfect. That's what's wrong with AEW. Fucking Strickland and Ricochet, two of the most talented guys in the business. They need to stay off the fucking internet. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you're watching us live, remember, we only go 1 hour live. Now, we may finish within the 1 hour, but if we don't, you got to wait till it comes out on the main feed. All right, let's hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Wrestling fans, are you ready? MCW Pro Wrestling is bringing the pain to Mart Tree, Arkansas, Saturday, May 17th at 802 Liberty Street. The ring will shake when Cowboy James Storm brings the thunder. The OMGs, Mike Anthony and Action Jackson, are in action. That's right. Also, the Party Factor, LA Hustlers, James Sosa, Chase McCoy, Galen Ray, and Draco, the Last Dragon, and many more. Doors open at 5, bell time at 6 p.m. Tickets at the door or message MCW Pro Wrestling now before they sell out. They'll also be selling world famous Boston Butts. That's MCW Pro Wrestling May 17th. Marquee will never be the same. Be there!
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live. This Sunday, May 18th, AEW superstar Scorpio Sky is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Next Saturday, May 24th, meet WWE Hall of Famer Ted DiBiase at the Mid-South MegaCon in Memphis. Sunday, June 8th, former WWE Women's Champion The Phenom Jazz is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Sunday, June 29th, James Ellsworth returns. Saturday, July 12th, don't miss former WWE United States Champion Kalisto at Dickie Stevens Park in Little Rock. It's official, Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp returns on July 17th and 18th. Registration is now open. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
All right, before we get to halftime, real big, quick shout-outs. Brano Lesto, Chris Kersey, Ed, all these guys have been here forever. I appreciate everybody in the, I guess I could say, podcast world. A couple of guys, one of my friends, Doug and Anthony, that do a comedy podcast, a bunch of people, and Gene, I just didn't realize it, but as soon as we started our changes, had tons of people commenting to me directly. I will still say it was for creative differences, and that was the reason for the split. Big thank you to Stacy. She's been really, really awesome during this transition and helping me talk it out and everything, what direction I'm going into, especially her and the wife. So we're up to halftime. Now, here we go. I got a theme song for this. All right, halftime. Well, Gene, I'm going directly to you this time. Something that you went to Philadelphia, made a joke there at the top. What was, and I know you were at the ECW arena. My question is, what maybe the biggest surprise, and what was the thing when you was flying back that put a big smile on your face? What was you thinking?
I don't know what I'd say was something that was a surprise. I don't know if it's a great surprise, but it was a surprise. I just assumed we're going to the ECW arena. We're having a TWA reunion show, and this is going to be a lot of old school, TWA fans, ECW fans, and they probably weren't going to care a lot about these younger local guys. They're mostly just going to look for the old ECW stars, but it was a skewed towards a younger audience, and they didn't react to anything the way I assumed they would. So that was interesting. But man, getting to sit back there in the dressing room with Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert, Shane Douglas, and, Pitbull, and the Sandman's walking around, Todd Gordon, all these people, and getting to hear all these stories firsthand. Stories I've heard bits and pieces of over the year, but hearing it firsthand from the people who were there. Running into Sandman and Tyler Fullerton, little Tyler Fullington, who was in that angle with Sandman.
Right. Oh, I love that angle. Absolutely love that.
Who me and Tommy now had to look up at.
Oh, wow.
He's taller than either one of us. Was wild. But man, what a fun event. We hung out with Sabu, and then, days later you get that news, and you're like, what? We just saw him. He seemed in great spirits and in good shape. So, man, you just never know. But sitting on that plane, coming back from Philadelphia, just running all that through my head, all the people that I had got to interact with, and being there in ECW arena, knowing when I was in college, sitting around with my buddies in the dorm, staying up to 1 o'clock on Friday night to watch ECW, to get to actually be there and hang out with these guys, and, little Guido and Tommy's together and all this stuff. Just, man, what a cool experience. I wouldn't take anything for it, and it's one that I won't soon forget, that's for sure.
Awesome. I love, we'll put stuff over at the end here before you leave to tell everybody how to get to it. But I love the episode with in the foot story. That's a teaser, folks. I'm not going to spoil it. It's a teaser. I've told that story to some of my friends, my old school friends that, don't follow wrestling anymore, but know who Tommy Rich is. And we need to be able to do a cartoon so we can make that where he's well, we won't say I'm usually the spoiler on your show, but I'm not going to do that now. So thanks, Gene.
So you're going to spoil your show. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, check out that episode. It's a favorite of mine. It really
awesome. All right, guys, that was halftime. All right, halftime. This number 5, we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 5, well, it had another name, and we're not using that name anymore. Another change. We make a lot of changes, Gene. It's now called Smarks Be Acting Crazy, okay? Smarks Be Acting Crazy. Dude. This was either the day after WrestleMania. There we go. Yes. We want to talk about Joe Hendry, and tell me what you put up on Facebook.
So, real quickly, during WrestleMania, I've got text chats going on with Josh and Richard and friends of mine, and a whole nother group of friends of mine, Wes and all those guys from Main Event Comedy. And everybody's kind of like, hey, what do you think's going to happen here? What do you think's going to happen there? And collectively, most everybody's like, yeah, Rusev is going to be Randy Orton's mystery opponent. And I was like, yeah, probably so. But, man, it sure would be cool if it was Joe Hendry. And they're all
wow.
Yeah, that would be cool. But, yeah, whatever. And me and Rosie are sitting there, and she's like, yeah, I wish it would be Joe Hendry. I was like, wouldn't that be awesome? Because we both popped. We didn't really know who he was at Royal Rumble. And then when he came out at Royal Rumble and he saw that reaction, like, I got to look this guy up. These people are going nuts for this guy. He's a TNA guy. So we're sitting there, and Orton's in the ring, and all of a sudden that music hits, and you see thousands of people spring to their feet, and there's the TNA champion standing in the aisle at WrestleMania. It's just surreal. It's not something you ever would. I mean, go back to 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could you imagine AJ Styles as TNA champion walking out to wrestle anybody, as a mystery opponent, or name anybody you want from the TNA roster back then?
Right.
So I thought it was awesome. And, Randy Orton, the legend killer, future Hall of Famer, huge star. For Joe Hendry to go out there and have a match with him. Now, all right, if you want to whine and cry about how long it lasted, again, that's that Mark mentality of it's got to be so
crazy.
The match has to be so long. He has to look so strong. He's the champion. He looks weak if he doesn't get his shit in. It's like, he got his shit in. He got the spin move around. He got all his things. He got his pops. And then Orton put him over. When Orton did his spin move, when Orton held him up and pointed to the crowd and like, hey, look where you're at. All that was putting him over. He's got a damn WrestleMania t-shirt on WWE.com that I'm wearing now that I bought. And there's freaking Marks crying the next day on Facebook and all over social media. I can't believe they killed him off. Like, they jobbed him out. They made the TNA world title look like shit. And I kept reading it all day long, and it was just bugging the hell out of me. And finally, by that afternoon, I was like, Jesus Christ, I got to post something about this. And so I made a post about it, basically saying everything I just said right there. And I was shocked at, how many people came along and they agreed with me. And there were a couple people popped up in the comments. Well, I don't agree. I think it hurt him and the title. I think it was bad. And then I hear there's other people just all up in arms, people who I unfollowed a long time ago. So I didn't know what they were posting, but somebody smarted me up to it. So I went and read, and I seen that I really, got up under some people's skin, and I'm just like,
it just don't make any sense, Gene. Okay. So I'm going to talk about that. We've learned some stuff behind the scenes after it's happened.
Yeah.
Randy Orton decided who he was working. He had a list of people that they gave him, and he decided he wanted to bring Joe out and do it with Joe. Joe is extremely happy with the experience because he's not a fucking mark. And if you called Gene Jackson and said, "Look, I want you to go out there and take a stunner, and we'll put your podcast over, and we're going to do a stunner there. We're going to do it. Hell, I'm going to dress up like a woman, buck naked, whatever you want. You're getting a WrestleMania moment, and it meant something to him. And hell, I watch TNA every once in a while. I watch clips. I try to watch on a regular basis. But Jane, be honest. What does that world title really even mean anymore?
Nothing.
So
He's a social media star more than TNA World Champion, more than a TNA wrestling star. He is a social media star. That's where people know him, because there aren't that many people watching TNA wrestling every week. Gun to their head, most people. I couldn't tell you where the hell to find hey, where do I watch TNA? I don't know. YouTube clips.
I just watch the YouTube clips. It's like full recap or something it's called, and I'll watch that if there is a match I want to go see. I mean, I have to bootleg it. I have to get on a bootleg site, hook it up to my TV, and watch it that way. Because there's no way you could do that. We talked about this just a little bit earlier. And this, remember, guys, number 5 is Smarks be acting crazy. I just like saying that. So, John Cena, go ahead.
Go ahead. Just one more thing on that is just, more people, I guarantee you, more people saw and will see Joe Hendry, TNA World Champion, at WrestleMania versus Randy Orton than saw him all year long on TNA television. I can promise you that, in the big scheme of things, as far as in-person streaming after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
Without question. And me seeing him at Royal Rumble, because people are like, oh, he went out pretty quick in Royal Rumble. That sent me down a rabbit hole of watching a video that covered his whole year in TNA. I went back and started finding videos of all those songs he made, the one he made about Matt Cardona and Flop Dollar and all these different people, and thought it was hilarious. And now I'm a fan of his. I'm buying his t-shirts and shit. How does that hurt him?
Not at all.
How does it hurt TNA?
Yeah, you're a perfect example, too, to show you what kind of a fan you are. You went out and bought one of those shirts, and that shows you. We talked about the John Cena match. I really didn't have a problem with the John Cena match, and I didn't like the finish, but I liked the slow pace. A lot of people didn't like it. I believe it was designed to be like that. You're not supposed to I don't think that's the part that people really got, that the actual match wasn't something we were supposed to say 10 stars, 12 stars. Remember, John Cena is a heel and he's ruining wrestling. So I didn't have a problem with that, but everybody talked about how bad it was. I think Meltzer gave it like a 1.5 stars or something like that. I was just, what the fuck?
I find ironic, because to me, what I don't like about it is that is too smarky for my taste. That's too inside baseball. If you got to explain to somebody like, see, he's intentionally having a bad match.
Yeah.
That's too. I don't know if we're supposed to say that when we're live, but
it don't matter.
That's too inside to me. And really, you can say all that, and maybe there is an element of that. But let's be honest. For the last 2.5 years, Cena's he's slowing down. That's the pace that John Cena wrestles at now. Now, they were smart enough to develop a gimmick that caters to that, and now you can write it off as, he's just working the marks. He's working slow to have a bad match intentionally. And either way, it works on that level. But I was really excited about, him and Cody, and just not so much just the match itself. All that shit with the rapper at the end does nothing for me or anybody else, I don't think. I'd rather just Cena kick him in the nuts and cheat without Travis Scott being involved and taking forever to get there. But anyway,
I love the angle with The Rock, but I thought that it didn't. And speaking of The Rock, real quick, I just wanted to mention this because everybody's pissed at The Rock now because The Rock's killing the business and he hates Triple H. Gene, do you believe that shit? Do you believe everything you read on the internet? Are they really against each other?
Here's the thing that I love, that I can't believe these people who are so smart, they're such smart marks, they don't understand. Brian Pillman figured this out in 96. They have realized that rather than just playing their angles out on television, you feed stuff to the media to start getting the narrative out there and then play on it like they're not supposed to know. And that's all part, it's all part of it now. Just like that. Do you think it's coincidental that Charlotte just so happened to go on a show crying about her divorce same week that old girl decides to shoot on her on SmackDown that week? And then we debate whether it's part of the script or not part of the script. No, they're feeding that crap to everybody. It's all part of the machine now. It's all part of the story. Anytime those people are in front of a camera or in written media or recorded media, it's all part of the narrative, folks. And don't try to act like you're smarter than you are by going, oh, they weren't supposed to say that because that wasn't real because he said that on a podcast. All that shit they go and say on Pat McAfee's show, it's all part of it's developing all this.
It's a work, folks. It's a work.
But rather than trying to act like you're smarter than that and trying to get in front of the work, just shut up and enjoy it.
That's, I told a few people, look, quit over analyzing stuff. Just watch wrestling. And that's what I do. That's exactly what I try to do now. All right, that was Smarks Be Acting Crazy. And number 4, we've done this a couple of times, but we may be able to do this every month. By the way, just real quick, too, I forgot to mention, this is WTF News Desk, the WTF News Desk, but it's only wrestling. We were doing wrestling and MMA. I don't follow MMA. I didn't even ask Gene, but we're not going to use any MMA stories unless we have something on Patreon we want to share. Hey, this guy's name, Chasen Rance. I don't know. How do you pronounce his name?
Chasen Rance.
Chasen Rance. I got it right. He was arrested on 4/2. He wasn't registered as a sex offender. How many times are we going to hear about this guy?
Too many, and I only know the name. And I was able to tell you how to pronounce his name. I only know the name Chasen Rance from all the charges he's had against him. I can't tell you anything about him as a wrestler. I just know he's popped up in my social media feeds for the last few years for all of his debauchery away from the ring, which is pathetic.
He failed to report a change in his vehicle ownership. This is from a 2011 incident where he was convicted for lewd battery of a victim between the ages of 12 and 15. Man, this guy's a piece of shit. He really is. Those guys, they exist in the wrestling business. Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, they exist down the street too, probably, but I'm just saying. Shaza McKenzie had a great, and you know what? I would love to followed her around during WrestleMania. She put up for WrestleMania weekend the Hinge guy that she had been dating for a month. I'm not sure what a Hinge guy is, but I think it's cool, Gene. Let's go ahead and say that.
We'll assume so. That's why we don't know nothing about it.
Just dumped me by texting her and then blocked her the day before she went to Vegas. She said, I'm sure this will result in some very Hinge and demure behavior from me the next few days. So my question to you, Gene, did Shaza get her freak on in Vegas?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you know, you go to Vegas, you're prone to that anyway. You go to Vegas with a chip on your shoulder because some dude just did you wrong. It's on, son.
British accent. Nice, good-looking girl.
Yeah.
She got laid.
There we go. Coming at her from every direction. She was swatting them away, I'm sure.
Then there was a story that came out, and to me, it made me feel like she just wanted to talk about the story because it had something to do with the N-word. So apparently, she headbutted a woman at a WWE Stars party for calling Natty the N-word. Why would she call Natty the N-word is my first question.
All right, just to clarify here, and I know the answer to this, but I feel like I have to ask this. Is there another Natty besides Natalya Neidhart?
No.
And besides the names Natalya and Neidhart, how would you apply an N-word to Natty? Exactly. I'm confused by this whole story.
Well, you know, it's not Well,
I mean, it's
forget it.
not,
We're not gonna- yeah.
exclusive to one. Just she's not typically the person that is on the receiving end of that. So,
But I really think that Paige just said that, and I still call her Paige, just to see the reaction of what was going on. It was so weird, so out of place, that part of it. All right, that was wrestlers behaving badly. There we go. That was number 4.
as they tend to do.
And, Gene, we're up to number 3. And, oh, my God, Dutch Mantell. He shocked the world this month. Former WWE employee Dutch Mantell, my mentor in the wrestling business, hung out with him back in the day. Please, you are sitting down, right? You're sitting down. All right, okay. Charlotte Flair, he believes, is doing plastic surgery. What do you think?
Whoa, that's pretty wild accusation, Dutch. What are you basing this theory on, Dutch? I mean, who could look at a picture from about 6 years ago of Charlotte Flair and a picture of her last week and assume there's any plastic surgery involved? Like, no wonder this is controversial. No wonder he's shocking the world with this.
I told
That's
you,
a pretty hot take there. BT.
Yeah, number 3 is just total shock. He says Flair had a lot of plastic surgery. Did she? He questioned it. Well, she doesn't look like she did before she left. And I'm not sure this is quote, but somebody then said it looks like the plastic surgery was not perfect. We may need to do a countdown show on the worst people or the most plastic surgery done. But she is up there. Natty's up there too. Speaking of Natty earlier, they're both up there on that plastic surgery. By the way, Gene, just so you know, I'm not a fan of fake boobies. I just really am not. I've had my hands on some, and it's not a big deal. Just not a big deal to me. So there we have revealed on WTF. All right, we're up to number 2. The first thing, the thing that makes me about number 2 is, do you think it's legit? Because a woman's husband, she gets on there and talks about her husband being a wrestling fan. I'll link this too because I really don't want to read it all. But she talks about all the stuff he does, 5 hours, 6 hours to wait for wrestling. She's home. Maybe she's home alone. Who knows? You think that's real? The whole thing about my spouse obsession with wrestling has ruined our relationship.
I avoided this topic for a week. I kept seeing it pop up places and people were commenting on it. And then when he sent me the format for the show, and I was like, shit, I got to read this now. I assume this probably isn't real, that this is being done for, attention and entertainment value. However, not because I don't think that this doesn't happen every day of the week all over the place amongst wrestling fans. This is a regular occurrence. I just don't think it's happening to her. But it's not, without it's not without merit. It's happening. If it ain't happening to her, it's happening to plenty of other ladies out there.
There's people out there that watch anywhere from 12 to 15 hours of wrestling. They're either they're completely single, or if they're doing that and they're not paying attention to their wife. Now, Gene, let's me and you talk, okay? Just me and you sitting here. No one else is here. We're not live.
I hear nobody watches these things anyway.
That's right. Me and you are huge wrestling fans. We spend a lot of time on podcasts and watching wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But we're not going to do something stupid, like ignoring our wives, right?
No, absolutely not.
And that, I mean, this, I wanted to be, get on there and say you got more problems than worried about wrestling. So if this guy's doing that and not talking to you, Jesus. But yeah, I had to bring that up. I thought it was, and like you said, lots and lots of people were talking about it. And I was WTF for sure when I first read it. All right, guys, we are up to number 1. Number 1, Gene. Wrestlers giving advice this month. I love this stuff, and I even got one of the videos I want to play. We had stuff from Kevin Owens. We had stuff from one of the girls in AEW. We had, My favorite of the whole bunch was this one.
What's happening, everybody? It's here. I don't know how it's here already, but it's WrestleMania week, the most exciting time of the year, and pro wrestling is on fire. We're in a golden age beyond golden age, and the whole industry is descending on Vegas. The world's descending on Vegas. The eyes of the world are on WWE. I'm worried about you guys. I'm concerned you're going to fuck it up. So I've taken it upon myself to put together some do's and don'ts, a little PSA so you can have the best time possible at WrestleMania. So then if you have a bad interaction, a bad experience, you fuck things up, then it is totally on you for not listening to Drew McIntyre. Let's start with the do's. Be respectful to any wrestlers you see, and each other, but mostly us. It's our busiest work week of the year, and if you see us in a hurry, don't get in our way. We're probably trying to get to an appearance. We could actually see us at the appearance, or maybe we have an hour and we're trying to get to the gym, or something crazy like seeing our family and friends that we never, ever see, especially from another country like myself. So wear deodorant. Please wear deodorant. Support local indie wrestling. I used to love doing the independent shows around WrestleMania, especially when I was Evolve Champion and I nicknamed WrestleMania Week Wrestling Week because there's so much going on and the atmosphere is incredible. Support independent wrestling. And that's a very short list for do's. Now the, for love of God, don'ts. Don't hang around the airport with a bunch of merchandise to sign. It's bullshit. It's taking the piss. It's taking advantage. It's WrestleMania. There's plenty of signings and photo ops you can go along to. We're just trying to get our stuff, say hi to a few people, say thank you for coming to Mania, and go to the hotel to begin the biggest week of the year. Speaking of the hotel, fuck off. Stay away.
All right, I'm not going to play it all, but I want to get you to see in the hotel. Fuck off. Gene, this is common, apparently, and it has been common for years. My old buddy Tom Robinson used to go to the hotel where the wrestlers were, but Tom ended up doing a lot of he had a car, by the way, when he was 16 years old, and he would take them to restaurants and stuff like that. He even had a nickname, called him a piss boy. He said he would do anything for wrestlers, even holding their Johnson to let them pee. So that was the joke there when it comes to that. Kevin Owens also talking about autographs and plane tickets and being there. What's your thoughts on that, on running up and getting them to sign 100 things?
It sucks. Like, I had just recently watched that interview with Kevin Owens before I made this trip to Philadelphia, and I saw that video. By the way, I'm not a big fan of Drew McIntyre in the ring as a wrestler, but I love social media Drew McIntyre. He's amazing. But
Gene, I just want to say I love Drew McIntyre. I mean, he's hot as hell, Gene. He really is. I mean,
well, I assume that's how you felt. But then again, this was a weeknight, so I didn't know if that crossed over. But anyway, but as I was running through the airport in Atlanta, hoping I wasn't going to miss my plane, I'm thinking in the back of my mind of what Kevin Owens was talking about. And I was like, man, it must suck for these folks, the guys and girls of the WWE and AEW and everywhere else, that they're in a hurry. They got to catch this flight connecting to that flight, and they got bags and they got different things. And people are trying to stop them to sign 50 dolls or belts or whatever nonsense they've got. Like, I can't believe they're not punching fans out every time you turn around. Like, I can't imagine what a hassle that is. And especially when they spend all this time doing these meet and greets and everything, there's opportunities to do this. Do it in the right place. Don't be hassling these folks at the airport or in the gym or even like at the hotel. It's ridiculous.
I can't imagine. I see them people coming up to them with all that stuff, and I'm just, all right, we have a couple other things we want to talk about, but guess what? That hour it's almost an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the live feed. Folks, you can go to the main feed to listen to number one, rest of number one. If you want to join us for Patreon, go ahead and go to Patreon to join. You'll have it uncut. But we will be, and I'm going to put something up so I can be able to edit this